Good afternoon, and it's 4 o'clock in Tokyo. But our eyes are switched to the northern area, just past Delhi, and we're talking today about life on the edge and Pakistani Hindus who are going to feel much, much safer in India. And first of all, before we get into the discussion today, I'm just going to read to you the article so that you can just sit back in a meditative style and absorb the information. After that, we're going to break it down into the main points and discuss this issue, because it is quite, it's going to be quite a revolutionary change for Hindus who are crossing the border from the majority of Muslim country, Pakistan. So here goes. Please sit back and relax for 2 minutes and just listen. So life on the edge, and this article comes from the Japan Times in Associated Press of Reuters. Life on the edge. Pakistani Hindus feel safer in India. Reuters. 7 years ago, Dhamavir Solanki, a Hindu, left his home in Pakistan's Hyderabad city never to return. When his train crossed the border into India, Solanki said he felt happier than ever before. It felt as though I had been reborn, he said, sitting inside a bustling refugee colony on the outskirts of New Delhi, where he and hundreds of other Hindus who fled a Muslim-majority Pakistan have built a new home. Asylum seekers like Solanki are the main beneficiaries of a law that Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Hindu nationalist government introduced late last year, laying out a path to citizenship for people from 6 religious minorities from Afghanistan, Bangladesh, and Pakistan who arrived in India before 2015. The law excluded Muslims from the list, and that determination of rights to citizenship based on religion triggered protests across India that resulted in a fierce police crackdown and deadly violence. Critics say the law discriminates against Muslims. I may argue that there's a bit of debate going on there, and undermines India's secular constitution. But the Hindus of Pakistan, Modi's long-held commitment to providing them refuge, drew more and more across the border even before the new law was enacted. In the 15 months through March 2019, India's Home Ministry dealt with 16,121 applications, that's quite a lot, from Pakistani nationals for long-term visas. In preceding years, the number of visas granted rose from hundreds to thousands. The flow of migrants has stopped temporarily as borders have been sealed to control the spread of the COVID-19 coronavirus. But many remain desperate to cross, Solanki said. They often come on 25-day pilgrimage visas and stay on till they get citizenship. Solanki is still waiting for India to grant him that very valuable citizenship, as the process has now been delayed by the coronavirus outbreak in the country. He was unaware that there was a World Refuge Day, but when told by Reuters that it would fall on June 20th, which is 1 day ago, now is June 21st in Japan, he was very clear what he would like to see. The citizenship law has been passed. Yes, our people should now get land and benefits as citizens, Solanki said at his home in the Manu Kartila neighborhood on Delhi's northern fringe. The settlement where he lives is a cluster of cement, brick and wood huts with no electricity or water supply off a busy road. Around 600 people live there. Many of the young men work as hawkers or, like Solanki, as laborers. Several said they lived in better conditions in Pakistan, but, this is a very big but they felt safer on the other side of the border in India. A few miles away, across the heavily polluted Yamuna River, a newer settlement has sprung up in the woods beneath a highway overpass called Signature Bridge. In July last year, when Reuters began observing this community, there were only a few rickety huts, but now hundreds of people live there. The huts are built with wood from the surrounding forest. There is no electricity or water supply, and families cook on wood fire stoves at present. At least here our daughters are safe, and we can freely practice our religion, said Nirmar Bagri, a 35-year-old woman. I suppose you saw my magnifying glass and realized that my eyesight isn't as good as it used to be. Here in a country they have mostly known through stories passed down by parents or grandparents who lived in partition India, or through Bollywood films, the refugees are slowly trying to assimilate. A young couple at the settlement was so elated with the law passed in December that they named their daughter, born that month, Nagarikta, the Hindi word for citizenship. Charitable Hindus often offer donations of food, clothes, solar lamps, and other household items. During a visit to the settlement in the woods in February, journalists encountered members of the right-wing Hindu group Vishwa Hindu Parishad, or VHP, who said they were organizing educational classes for the children. Now, we're not sure exactly what that means at this point, but we do hope to investigate. The group, which has ties to Modhi's ruling BJP, has been blamed for violent attacks on minority Muslims, and has a stated aim of turning India into a Hindu supremacist nation. Well, there you have it. While confirming they belong to VHP, the men declined to give their names, of course. Refugees said later that the VHP men had told them not to speak to the main media. We are trying to build a life here, said Solanki. These people are just helping us. Well, we're not dead sure about that, and as I said, we're going to try to find out. So now we will move on to a more in-depth look at the situation, and we'll come back in a minute. So everyone, I hope you enjoyed just listening there, and you got the main idea of the situation. As you may have gathered, 7 years ago, Solanki, he got on a train and left Hyderabad forever and came over into the northern part of India, where he was able to join a refugee camp. And as you may have gathered already, a law has been passed in India which now allows Hindus who have maybe felt some kind of suppression in Pakistan to come into India and live forever once they get citizenship.
Correct.
And
So,
you know,
yes.
this is the whole thing. This law has been passed. What do you think, Kaz? There was a lot of violence, actually.
Correct.
Around this law. The reason being because basically there are those that believe that Muslims should be allowed into India and be living alongside Hindus, and others who think a slightly separatist approach is better. That originally Gandhi thing, the whole thing was Pakistan and India. But now we have pockets of northern, pockets of Pakistan are Hindi, and they are able, very happily of course, to come over the border into northern India and join their Hindi brothers and live together and eventually get citizenship.
Well, this reminds me of the, like Old Testament exile to Egypt, right?
Exile to Egypt.
Right? So Those of you familiar Old Testament, I reckon reads Exodus, right? So now, long story short,
I
whether
remember the Bob Marley song, Exodus,
Correct.
movement of the people.
that's the one. So
The same thing.
yes, yeah. So I'm Christian, and you practicing Nichiren Daishonin Buddhism, right? So so this is what's going on in Asian countries, right? So whether you live in Western nations or Middle East, similar things been going on for many years. For example, like
The Gaza Strip.
Gaza Strip is one of them, and then after the war, the country Israel be established, right? So many people who practice Jewish faith, many people ended up escaping or immigrating to Israel, right? So it's some similarities. Religious background might be is totally different, but similar things.
Yeah,
been
when
going
we
on.
think
Yes.
about the land of Jerusalem, isn't it 3 religions that would like to have or lay claim to the same land? It's
the Holy Land.
The
right?
Holy
So,
Land.
okay. I'm not a politician, so I'm not going to elaborate too much about it. But what I can say is, so people who are practicing Hinduism in Pakistan, they no longer feel secure. So that Hinduism practitioner in Pakistan ended up immigrating or escaping to India, which is the vast.
Well, definitely it's an escape.
There's similar situations been going on. Of course, whether you're in Israel or Western nations or India or Pakistan, whatever is going on, of course, after things are getting settled, we don't know what's going to happen. I hope they're not going to have any clash or conflicts, stuff like that. So, yeah.
Well,
You want to say something?
Yeah, so this one is, we have seen, there has already been a little bit of a clash, a little bit of violence going on. And furthermore, in the article it says that the pressure is on for some Hindus to come over. So they pilgrims, they're calling them the pilgrims, they're coming over on a 25-day visa in order to, so that they, once they got the 25-day visa, perhaps they have a chance to apply for legally. They may be overstayed people as well, I suppose, but they're probably legally trying to become citizens of India so that they can live in a Hindi atmosphere, which to me is very important. We see, like in London, multicultural London. We see New York, multicultural New York. There's 300 nationalities in London, and it's a wonderful place to visit, and it's wonderful to be able to go to all those different restaurants with all those different people. I would like to have Iranian food, Greek food, or whichever particular type of kebab I want. And there's an overall British thing going on in England where all these people are trying to be British inverted commas. And maybe there's a similar thing going on in India where these different groups, and he's talking about in the article, just remind you, 6 different groups are allowed to join now. So that's from Bangladesh and Afghanistan and Pakistan.
The neighboring
So then
countries.
6 different basic groups are allowed to join the main group of the Hindi. And we've thrown into the package a right-wing group, which, let's refresh the memory here, called the BJP, is that correct? No, it's not. It's the VHP
The
group.
Vishwa Hindu Parishad. I'm not I cannot pronounce correctly. Those of you who think we are not pronouncing correctly, just click. Type it down below, would you?
Yeah,
Please.
Vishwa Hindu Parishad. And as we say, the purpose of this channel actually is to take an outside view and a look into other countries and see
We
what
just
they
analyze,
what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because perhaps you don't pick up on these things. You think, okay, well, the reason we chose this article, basically, Life on the Edge, Pakistani Hindus feel safer in India, was because I thought, well, do I have enough time to read all that? Do I have enough time? And I thought, well, okay, that's going to take me 15 minutes. I've got other things that I need to do. But then I thought to myself, well, this is a great opportunity for us on this channel to get into more depth, into something that you may not usually think about. And we don't often try to stand in the shoes of somebody in India. But I think it's time that as this kind of social awakening is going on, we've got Black Lives Matter, a lot of rioting in the streets, we have to wake up, or including us too. We have to wake up and find out what it is that's going on in different parts of the world religiously, and hence the purpose of this episode. And so we want to dig a little bit into this issue, and
well, I'm not okay. I am kind of suspicious or curious about Black Lives Matter stuff. I really don't know what exactly is going on. So that's up to you, up to the viewers to analyze. Okay, so let's get back. Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
All right.
And a lot of issues going on in the world religiously at the moment, and this is the reason why we get back into we've come to this one. So we go back to the article about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paragraphs down. It says, in the 15 months through March 2019, India's Home Ministry dealt with 16,121 applications for Pakistani nationals for long-term visas. Once again, these are Pakistani people, probably Hindi, and they wish to be part of India. And can you imagine what a life-changing event that is for them? I know that across the line of control, we've got China, Pakistan, and India, and the two countries have been pointing guns at each other along that line.
Double punch at the same time.
The guns have been pointed, and to keep the peace. Up until now, Indian movies have been passed across the border. So Pakistani people would like to see, especially if you're Hindi and you want to follow the latest Hindi movie, the video would be passed from the Bollywood studios in the beginning across the border over into Pakistan, and even vice versa. Some of the Muslim movies from Pollywood, which actually exist. There's Bollywood, there's also Pollywood with a P.
I'm not familiar.
Anyway, I looked into
I'm not the expert.
There's Bollywood, Pollywood, and as you may or may not know, there's also Nollywood in Nigeria. So we have Hollywood in America.
Yes.
We have Bollywood in India. We have Pollywood in Pakistan.
And Takarazuka here in Tokyo.
Takarazuka.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
So we got this exchange happen, but movies was not the only. It was one way to keep the friendship and to stop those guns being fired at the line of control. But recently in the news, as you know, the Chinese are thrown into the bargain. There they are in the northeast of that line of control. And the Chinese have diverted, I'm not sure if this is exactly true or not, but apparently diverted a river and trying to get more land for themselves. And there's been... It was labelled as sticks and stones were thrown at each other. 40 people died from the Pakistani side and some Chinese, but no gunfire happened. This prevented a war, apparently. War was prevented, but this line of control for 40, 50 years at the northern part of India there, the two countries, Pakistan and India, have the guns pointing at each other, and China is also sitting there. And Chinese would like to have their say in the matter, and maybe, especially as there was a drought of the river, got smaller and smaller and smaller, and the line of the border, apparently, this might have been an excuse, was the thing in dispute. And then, of course, we've thrown into the bargain coronavirus. And getting back to this, so you imagine 6,121 applications. So in the preceding years, the number of visas granted rose from hundreds to thousands. So here this is a religious issue, we feel. And we have just stumbled upon this, and are just wondering what it would be like to be someone like Solanki, who 7 years ago came across, and how he feels, and how is Solanki feeling today? How would he like to help his fellow Hindus in Pakistan? It's a bit, it could be compared to North Korea, South Korea. South Koreans have loved their family member who's stuck in North Korea for many, many years. And
Just like West Germany, East Germany until the 1980s.
it's like, to them, it's just like the wall being knocked down.
Yeah.
So this law, which has been passed on the June 20th, which is yesterday, Japan time, is tantamount in many Hindus' lives, and this is a life changer. I mean, if you imagine you're a Christian, but you are living in a Muslim country, and you're not allowed to show the cross in public.
Correct.
You're not allowed to, let's say, you're not allowed to walk the streets wearing a cross on your T-shirt.
Well,
And
Christians
you're not allowed
under
to kiss. You're not allowed
facing under deadly hostile situations. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're not allowed to kiss on the beach, for instance. You know, I'm just saying that. But you may wish, if you're not allowed to wear that cross on your shirt, you may wish to go home, leave that place wherever it is, and return to the United States or return to Britain, because you feel like you're too much of a minority in this. And you've learned a lot from that country, whichever country it was you went to, but you don't feel like it's really home. So the place, your base in life has to be your home, and you want to get away from this feeling of I'm just a stranger without a home, to I am welcome with a home. So even though they are in the refugee camp, and the refugee camp, it doesn't have electricity, it doesn't have running water, which they had in Pakistan. They had the running water in Pakistan. They would rather be in the hovel style home, which is really tough in one respect, without electricity, without water, because of their strong religious belief, and they want to focus on being Hindi and part of the Hindi community.
Okay, so now, I just got notice about, I just found out this is just happening yesterday or so. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure this is totally true or not, but I mean, they don't have the water or basic access, but I'm not quite sure about that. But because nowadays, I'm not we all need to double check the news, is it true or not. But no, anyway, so if this is true, right, because they rather, so if this is true, if I were in their shoes, I'd rather go to the place, have religious freedom, rather than maybe I can still live under luxury items, a water system or aircon or air conditioner, stuff like that, but might be potentially dangerous, like might be persecuted. So if this is true, right, so that's why the Pakistani Hindu they chose moving to or asylum to India, even they have if this limited access. Yeah. So which one you want to pick? The under the hostile situation area or hostile free area? So this is, if this is true, they must have a big guts to do that.
And now we focus, even like push the camera, so to speak, into where they're actually living. Once again, just to remind you, around 600 people live there. Supposedly, this is unless it is fake news. I personally, I think this probably isn't fake news. But if
please double check,
yeah,
viewers. please double check because this is like an ongoing developing story. So
Yes, it is. It's just started. The law has just been passed on June 20th. So we have to find out. I really would like to know what happens next to those 600 people. It is described, and I think many people watching are living in relatively good conditions. It is described as a cluster of cement, brick, and wood huts. And however, this benefits the citizens. So although it's a cluster, it is brick and it's livable, but I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where your water bill ran out a long time ago, maybe 20 years, actually 25 years ago, in a place called Gotanda. I didn't pay my water bill, and I had to bow down deep to the authorities and go to the office. But I had the money to pay, and I luckily, and when I paid for the water bill. But in Japan, they're very lenient about that. It was like 2 months, 2 full months after the money was due.
Yes.
But then, you have to sign a letter. To whom it may concern, I hereby apologize that I didn't pay my water bill, and I'm very, very sorry. And from now on, I will pay my water bill. And I bowed down very deeply. But the difference in me...
Without cutting a finger, right?
Yeah, that's right. I didn't have to cut a finger. I didn't to give to the oyabun. No oyabun, or Japanese gangster oyabun, didn't have to receive my finger, because once my salary, of course I had a salary, once my salary came in, I was able to go there and put the 43,000 yen, how much is that, about $400 or something? Roughly, to pay,
That's
to get my water,
$800
to get my water reconnected. So, but I lost water for about 2 or 3 days. So, and we have the Sento in Japan. So when I lost the water,
bath.
actually, I was a kind of a young revolutionary in Japan. So instead of paying my water bill, I went to the Sento, which is the hot bath, if you like.
Public bath.
Public bath.
The swimming pool size public bath. Yeah, so you can check that out. What is Sento?
And you may not believe this, but in the Sento in Gotanda, when I entered that Sento, it was 300 yen for each time, which I thought was quite expensive at that time, but it was a very good hot bath. There was a naked Christian preacher, and I wasn't Christian even then, and he would come up to me and sit next to me when washing, because the shower and the washing is separate, and he would try to preach Christianity naked to me in that Sento. So if like Kaz is preaching Christianity to me, I'm preaching, but naked in the Sento, preaching Christianity. I don't know if that's the place to talk about the Bible, but anyway, that's what was happening, and that happened because I was preached to in the Sento because I didn't pay my water bill. Because I never went to the Sento other times. So if I had paid my water bill, this is got a religious thing, I suppose. If I had paid my water bill, the naked preacher would never have preached to me in the Sento. But anyway, that's nothing to do with India. But the point is, my viewpoint here is I was able, even though slightly extreme conditions, you might say, young revolutionary, whatever, I was able to go to the office, pay the water bill, get the water turned on. But I'm a little bit concerned about these 600 Hindis when their water will be connected. You see? When will their water be connected? What are the authorities doing to incorporate these 600 lives into the
settlement,
the system?
So yes, either what would we call now the settlement or in the particular compound, right? So yeah. Okay.
And another settlement across the Yamuna River, just another paragraph, a newer settlement has sprung up in the woods beneath a highway overpass called Signature Bridge. So, Signature Bridge, you just sign and you get citizenship? No. Signature Bridge reminds me of pictures of homeless in America or even Britain, where you have a lot of homeless people living under a bridge. It seems...
we're here in Japan as well.
And here in Japan, it seems like
It's a lot.
that kind of situation. I would imagine, though, I don't know what the temperature's like in northern India, but I think 30 degrees, 35, very hot. So instead of being hot and dry, I would imagine, but I think it varies. But here in Japan, it can get quite cold in a homeless shelter.
Especially in the winter time.
I think so. I mean,
Winter time, because even Tokyo, it can be super cold. It's like a -5 degrees Celsius, which is like 29 to 30 degrees Fahrenheit, right? That's, I mean, ice cream cold. Yeah.
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 So, also another point I suppose I should promote. Although I am a Buddhist, I do support some Christian charities, and one of them is Compassion, as you know, is an American Compassion International, and for various causes around the world. You can either sponsor a child, or as a quick promotion, you can sponsor one child for $38 a month, and now 1 million children have been sponsored. Or you can just give some money to a cause. For instance, you can buy a deer or a football for like $7 or something, and you pay that money. So, but what I would like to suggest here, rather than just a donating, is that we send these Hindi people prayer. In my case, it'd be the Buddhist prayer. In Kaz's case, the Christian prayer.
Yeah.
We send a prayer to these 600 Hindis and the rest of the
We need
21,900.
They need blessings, right? Because and then okay, and then not only they can convert, become India citizens, but we both sincerely hope that they can start the new life again, you know, and that's we are hoping. Yes, yeah,
And I'm sure that they may feel that they can even develop, once they have all their Hindi brothers and sisters, they can even develop religiously, whereby they felt that they couldn't before, because they don't have maybe they didn't have access to a newspaper or news articles or videos about, which were contraband perhaps, about their particular religion. So they feel much more religiously centered and happier, because there's a wider range of religious
morally faith-based, you know,
applications, and
that'll be good. Yes.
and so on. And one guy were just reminding us, said at least here in India, our daughters are safe. Now that says a lot.
Yeah, it is.
What did he felt? I mean, I hate to mention this, but did he feel that his daughters might be kidnapped
That's
on the other side, if you like, of the border?
it's been happening for. I mean, I've been watching news, but many have been victimized. Yes.
So, feeling that your family daughters are safer, obviously weighs very, very heavily as well. A 35-year-old woman says, and
Says, yeah. Yes. There's so many suppressions worldwide, right? So because this reminds me of some, because Christians in certain parts of Asian country, I forgot where, but being persecuted because wearing cross, or because they went to church, like China, for example.
yeah,
Many Christians being persecuted every day, and then they're being monitored by the red government.
yeah, that's right.
So,
They have to practice their religion behind the
communist
closed
controlled
doors.
church.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Which is the same happened with the Kung Fu, as many people you might know. They had certain types of Kung Fu had to be practiced, be hidden behind a closed door, just like the Christian religion. And then a lot of those practitioners escaped to Taiwan.
Yeah, and the many I know you from different denominations, but some many Buddhists, people who have practiced Buddhism, been persecuted, being controlled by the Red Chinese as well.
That's right, and we've
Right.
got like the Rohingya
Correct.
in Myanmar, and that is another story.
Another, same things going on worldwide. Yeah.
Yeah. The other point, just coming back to these Hindus, that charitable Hindus often offer big donations of food, clothes, and solar lamps. So these solar lamps are obviously very, very helpful as well. When you don't have electricity, you've got the solar lamp, if it's functioning properly, which it probably is for a certain amount of time, is a very necessary thing, so that when it does get dark, and it might get dark early, then you can stay awake and chat with your family members for longer, albeit in the
It's a temporary relief.
Behind the brick clustered walls. But hopefully these it reminds me of Charge of the Light Brigade, into the Valley of Death rode the 600. We hope that these 600, or nominal 600, plus the 21,900, all of them can be assimilated into a more, I won't say luxurious, but a higher level, higher standard, if you like, of 1 or 2 star accommodation at least, that will make them feel better, so that they can have electricity, running water, and so forth. The last thing we really wonder about and don't have enough information is the so-called right-wing group.
According to this newspaper,
we don't.
I haven't investigated is this right-wing group or left-wing. I don't know. I'm not a politician. I'm not familiar about this kind of stuff. But you can, the viewers can double check. Okay, so yeah.
So this group, whoever they were posing and suggesting that they will be doing education classes for these new arrivals. Now, whatever that educational classes mean, it doesn't necessarily mean a good thing. It could be a hidden darkness that we maybe don't want to see. I'm guessing that that's what it might be.
Propaganda kind of class. I don't know what's going on. This is just developing story, right? Yeah.
And the group, which has ties to Modi's ruling BJP, has been blamed for violent attacks on minority Muslims. So this is, again, we don't know, as Kaz just said, we don't know the strength of this news. We don't know how much they are really connected to Modi, or if they are or not. My guess is they might be totally separate. They might be just some rash group that is built up completely by themselves. This is speculation at this point as to whether this group that has been blamed for violent attacks on minority Muslims, whether they are actually connected to Modi's ruling BJP or not. And they have a stated aim of returning India to the Hindu supremacist nation. So this is another question I'm in two minds about. First of all, in Gandhi's time, India separated, and Pakistan, there was a long march, and the Pakistanis went to Pakistan, and India is in India. But as a world, we really need to learn to live beside each other. But can we? And I think this is where the supremacist groups come from, because it's not easy for two religious cultures to live smack next door to each other. Because, first of all, they believe something completely different. When they try to talk about religion, they have completely almost opposing views on, or at least they think so, on certain topics. And this sometimes causes a lot of friction. It's not always just polite talking. sometimes it becomes like sticks and stones.
At the same time, somebody could be funding both sides, right?
Of course.
For the clash, and then that's you can double. I'm sure some of the viewers are familiar that system. Maybe somebody behind the back is supporting. I just don't know. Just the ongoing story, the developing story. So
Yeah. So this is the current situation as it written on this article, and we, the religious debaters, or
Yes.
those we are seeking the religious truth, basically.
yes,
So we're trying to find out what is exactly happening,
yes,
because, and I think like you said about the that millionaire YouTube mechanic,
Yes.
and just re-watching his video again. Why did he get so many hits on? You started in 2007. Now it's 2020. 13 years later, he's made a
very successful entrepreneur.
Why?
Yes.
Why did he get so many hits? And I think the reason is, well, the reason he said himself on the video was, I told the truth.
Yes.
When I looked at a car, and he said in the video, and I'm sorry, Mercedes, but he said in the beginning the earlier Mercedes models were really great, and
Yes.
I gave them the thumbs up. But when callers came in and they talked about the modern.
The latest model.
Latest model
is
of the
falling
Mercedes
apart
falling
easily.
apart, and he
Yeah.
said the truth.
Yes.
So we,
Truth are the beautiful thing.
so we are, whether radical or not, whether opposing the majority or whether we're in a minority or in the majority, or funded or not funded, we are searching for the religious truth.
Seeking for the truth, like a philosopher, right? Seeking the truth, like it or not.
Now, let me rephrase this a little bit. When we say seeking the truth, we both feel that we have found our personal truth.
Oh, yeah.
I have found mine, and I don't think I'm going to change it in this lifetime. But what we're trying to seek here is that the personal truths of all of these different people from all these different religions in the world. We want to know, what is their personal truth? What are they trying to base their life on? That's the point. And I think if we can dig that up, we can eventually, and this leads into our second episode
Oh yes.
today.
And by the way, those of you are, because our business office in Tokyo. Now, those of you are from those of you are from Pakistan and Pakistani. Excuse me. All right, Pakistani Hindus. They live in Japan. Please let me know, because we would like to interview you. Maybe you guys can come up to our show.
Yeah, and you can come right
Yes.
here into the studio,
and
we'd
you will
like,
be treated
as
as a king or queen.
exactly, and we would like to.
We will not smash you guys, okay?
We would like to,
Yeah.
bring out the truth, hear the truth. So Kaz and I will just ask you simple questions about what the situation is, so we can get the truth, so that everybody in the world can find out the truth,
Yes.
the deeper truth behind what's going on in the mind of that particular group. That's what we're trying to find out.
Yes, and then those of you in India, Pakistan, practicing Hinduism, those of you facing this ongoing situation, we would love to hear from you, because we just follow based on the newspaper or the print press, right? So we're not even sure
we're talking about
this
the
is true or
last,
not.
for us,
Yeah.
this is the last 24 hours. So
This is developing story.
I mean, for
so-
you, if you are Hindi, this is Hindi, and anywhere in India, you're probably more aware of this than us, and you've been following this for years. But we just sort of stumbled upon this, but we think that the whole world is who doesn't live in India or Pakistan, has just stumbling on this. And if you're Pakistani too, and if you're a Muslim who's lived in India, if you feel good or feel bad or however you feel, we want to hear your views.
Yes,
Whether you come from Lahore Karachi, if you worked in Bollywood in Lahore,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. We want to hear
Yes.
everybody's view, and nobody's
Whether
view
you-
will be
As long
discount.
as you guys won't punch us, then there's no problem. And then
I don't think they will.
no, I don't think they will, because, and then those of you practicing, Pakistani, Muslim, this ongoing situations, live in Japan. Leave us some comment, and then maybe we can invite you for the interview. All right,
So thank you very much.
thank you very much,
And,
ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for watching. And those of you enjoy, please subscribe, because we are going to put more forthcoming episodes.
That's right. And without subscribers, there isn't really a channel. So we need you as much as you might like to listen to us.
Yes,
I think
we
so.
all love you all.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Have a nice day.
Have a nice day.